because they don't know how to ensure the memorization. They feel like they memorized it, but sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't work. That means they didn't memorize the pieces. So there are largely two methods that you implement to check your memorization. The first is the muscle memory, and then the second way is the visualization memory. So these are the two methods that you must implement to ensure to check your memorization. So it doesn't matter how nervous you are, you're still able to continue with no issues. So how can you really check your muscle memorization? Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, because you didn't play evenly at a steady tempo. So you must check your muscle memorization with the metronome, but you set the tempo is not too fast, it's not too slow, based on your performance tempo of the piece. So for example, if the piece is supposed to be played in like 120, you set the tempo like 88, like a moderato, and then you must check your memorization with the metronome. Can't play with the metronome by memory, that means basically you didn't memorize the piece, because sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't work. That means you have done wrong, incorrect muscle memory. So that's why when you're trying to play perfectly even at a steady tempo, it would not work, right? So in order to ensure your muscle memory, you have to check it with the metronome. Right? Always try to play even at a steady tempo to check your memorization. If you can't do it with the metronome, that means simply you haven't done a correct muscle memory. So you're using a lot of methods to memorize the pieces. You visualize the score, you're trying to analyze the score, the key names, if there's any modulation or chord progression. You're trying to analyze the piece to study the score so you get familiar with the score. And also you're trying to remember and spot detect any mood changes, right? These are the sections that you want to label with the letters like A, B, C, D, right? And then you can also check your memorization by sections. So the second method to ensure your memorization is shadow practice. So shadow practice is to check your memorization by visualizing the keys without producing any sound. Right? If you're able to do shadow practice from the beginning to the end, that means you memorize the piece by visualization. So after I check the muscle memory and also the visualization memory, this is exactly what I do a few days before performance day. Trying to imagine a keyboard and then visualizing the score in my head. You can do it like away from the keyboard when you are on the bed, or it can be anywhere when you're sitting on a chair, anywhere you can do it. Try to visualize the score from the beginning to the end. Also try to visualize the keyboard, and so you're actually performing in your own imaginary keyboard. If you're able to do this from the beginning to the end, that means you perfectly memorize the piece. So this is how you ensure your memorization.